In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a dynamic data validation, or what is more commonly known as a cell drop-down. So in order to do this, we've got this table on the left here, which is a list of people's names. And then to the right, in each of these cells, we've got the option to select one of those names via data validation. So there's a couple of issues here. Firstly, the list of names aren't in alphabetical order, which if you've only got a few names, it's not a major problem, but if you've got a long list of potential options to select in the drop down, it could make it more difficult to find what you're looking for. And secondly, we've got lots of blanks at the end of the list because the range that has been specified is static. So we can look at what we currently have by clicking on data validation, and we can see that the range that has been specified includes these blank cells at the end, and also all the names in the order that they're entered on the list. So in order to make this drop down dynamic, there's a few things that we need to do. We need to insert some formulas. The first one being a count of the number of names entered. So we're just basically getting a sequential numbering of each of the names entered, and that's done simply by saying if there is an entry in cell D8, just take the cell above it and add 1. So we're taking B7 and adding 1 to it, which gives us 1, 2, 3, and so on. Then we need to get a count of the number of names entered, and that's a simple max function. So it just looks at a range of cells and gets the highest number, which is 9. Then we need to rank each of the names entered alphabetically. So this works in the same way as ranking numbers, but just on an alphabetical basis. And we do that by using the countif function. And what we say is, look at the range D8 to D21, and then count the number of names, or the number of entries, that are equal to or less than the name that's been entered in the adjacent cell. So these operators work with alphabetical characters in the same way as they do with numerical values. So A is less than B, B equals B, and C is greater than B. So what we're doing here is we're looking for any names that are entered that are less than or equal to this name here, which gives us a rank of 4. So Eve is the 4th ranked name in this list. And we can see we've got 1 for Albert, 2 for Brenda, 3 for Dave, and so on. So once we've got that list, that ranking, what we then need to do is create a new list to return those names in alphabetical order. And we do this by using a VLOOKUP, which basically says, look up this sequential number, 1, in this table here, in the purple table, return the number 1 and the value that's in column 2, which returns Albert. Secondly, we get Brenda, David, Eve, and so on and so forth. Now we can see that changing as we enter new names in. So we can see that that name has been added into the list in alphabetical order. Now, in order to get the dynamic data validation to work, there's 2 ways to do this. One way is to create a dynamic named range within the worksheet. Now that works by, the way I've done it is I've named the start of the new list as dynamic person start, and then the count of all the names entered as person count. And you can go into your name manager by pressing Control and F3. You can see here I've got a named range which is a dynamic range that will just basically cover the 9 rows of data for the names that have been entered. And we do that by using the offset command. We basically tell it where to start, dynamic person start, which is this cell here. Offset from there by 0 rows and 0 columns, but then offset by the number, the count of names that are in the list, which is 9. So when we look at that range, we can see it just covers, let's try that again, that just covers these names here. And if we enter a new name in, and then look at that dynamic range again, we can see that it then covers that additional name entered. So we've called that name d_people, and then to add that into the data validation or the in-cell drop down, we go to the data validation option, click OK. We'll try that again, data validation. We can see that it is currently referenced to D8 to D21. I'm going to take that out and type in d_people. And another way of being able to see that dynamic range, if you've got many and you can't remember what the names are, if you press F3, it will give you a list of all the ranges that you've got specified. I'm going to select d_people, click OK, and we can see then that the drop down is just for the names that are in the list and also in alphabetical order. So hopefully you found that useful, and if you've got any questions about it or queries about Excel in general, then just drop me a line and hopefully I'll be able to help you out. Thanks for watching.